The year 1936-37 was one of the most significant in the life of Tennessee Williams. How many did most of you, I'm sure, know that Tennessee Williams was a student here at Washington University during that year? It was during that year as well that the playwright's older sister, Rose, increasingly unstable, was hospitalized in a sanatorium in Farmington, Illinois, for what was later diagnosed as dementia praecox schizophrenia in our day. It was also the year, of course, that he studied here, a year that concluded in failure. And both excerpts that we're going to read from, one is a one-act play and the other is a poem, and I will be accompanied by Sarah Palay, a Washington University student who graduated last spring and is here to help me now, and you will be seeing her again later near the end of the program when Beckett is read. So during this time, 1936-37, Williams was tremendously active artistically in spite of the fact that he was dealing with a lot of issues regarding his personal life. He worked closely with fellow Washington University students William J. Smith, whose papers are also housed here in Olin Library, Clark Mills, and they created a so-called poetry factory in the cool basement of the Williams home, then on Aberdeen Place in Clayton. Williams was closely connected with a theater group at that time called the Mummers. It was very influential. It was a community theater company which specialized in socially committed avant-garde work. Not necessarily something we would associate with Tennessee Williams, but the association is nonetheless accurate and true. And whose artistic director, a man named Willard Holland, was a particular champion of the young writer and produced several of his earliest works during that same year, around 1936 and 37. Now, just to set the scene for you, in 1937, Tennessee Williams was an undergraduate at Washington University, but he was a 25-year-old undergraduate. He had been to University of Missouri from 1929 to 1932, but due to the fact that he flunked ROTC, had gone to work in the International Shoe Company where his father had been promoted to a managerial position. So he was here and taking a course called English 16, a course taught by William J. Carson, called Pops Carson, and his class included A.E. Hotchner, another person whose work is included in our collections. The students had turned in drafts during the semester, which was to culminate with a one-act play, and the winner of the contest for the one-act play would receive a then fairly remunerative $50 prize. Since Tennessee Williams had already had several full-length plays produced, he was more or less conceded to be the winner of the contest. According to Hotchner, Williams turned in several sketches about his family in St. Louis, sketches which would turn into one of the most celebrated works in American theater, The Glass Menagerie. However, that was not what he turned in for his submission to the English 16 one-act play contest. Instead, he handed in a very different play about, of all things, an armaments manufacturer named Vasha from Eastern Europe. And when Williams read the play aloud, the class erupted in laughter. Williams, who was always pathologically shy and self-conscious, left the classroom livid with rage. He claims that he confronted Carson about the play's reception in his office, although Carson had no recollection of it, and he refused to come to the awards ceremony next door in Graham Chapel because he had received an honorable mention prize. There were 3 first-place winners who shared the $50 prize. Tennessee was not one of them. His feelings of anger and disgrace at not winning one of the 3 prizes in playwriting was complemented by an equally disastrous occurrence during that same semester. I mentioned that he had failed ROTC at the University of Missouri, and now he was at Washington University, having received the tuition scholarship from his quote-unquote sainted grandparents, and was failing again. This time he was failing ancient Greek. Now, Mi Vasha, the name of the play that he wrote, which was languishing pretty much in our collections, and which was met with such a disastrous premiere, is in fact a fascinating text and introduces Tennessee Williams' first portrait of an emotionally distraught, mentally fragile woman, leading, of course, on the path that culminated in such figures as Laura Wingfield and Blanche Dubois in the late 40s. Based in part on the abyss into which he saw his sister Rose falling at the time, the image of Rose, again, who, as most of you will know, underwent a bilateral prefrontal lobotomy, preoccupied the playwright for the rest of his life. He felt that he and his sister were somehow twins. Rose was 2 years older, and he felt that they were connected more than physically, they were spiritually connected. So Mi Vasha remained here in Olin Library and was first performed in 2004 as part of a conference we held in conjunction with Washington University's sesquicentennial. Tonight, Sarah Palay will read an excerpt with me from the play, and she will take on the role of Lady Shantine. I will read the doctor. There is a third important character in the middle of Vasha himself, to whom all of the comments really should be directed. The conceit of the play, however, is this, and it's helpful to know this to understand. So Vasha is an armaments manufacturer, sort of in the fashion of an Alfred Nobel type. Lady Shantine is apparently insane and has been locked in their back bedroom by Vasha himself. He's bringing her out now to be treated by a physician because she won't leave the house. The physician comes in, and the physician is apparently neutral, but we later find out at the end of the play that the physician has smuggled a gun in his doctor's bag, and the intention, which is culminated at the end of the play, is to in some ways use Lady Shantine's insanity as a means of killing this dictatorial husband who's selling munitions to both sides in some fictive world war that's coming up. At the end, Vasha pleads for his life, while in a delirious ecstasy, she calmly shoots him and sends him off to the front, where he has sent so many others, including a beloved young man, David, who has befriended her. Imagine my shock when attending the Tennessee Williams Literary Festival in New Orleans following our performance of this play. I discovered in the Faulkner House bookstore in Pirates Alley in New Orleans the very Greek examination that was the sort of second pillar of Williams' catastrophic failure in St. Louis and at Washington University, and the reason why he left. I found the Greek examination there. It was, of course, he hadn't become Tennessee Williams yet. That only happened in 1939. So he was Tom Williams, Thomas Lanier Williams at the time. Even more extraordinary than inside the Blue Book exam on the last page was a poem entitled Sad Song in pencil. The word sad erased but visible, and in its place was the title Blue Song. Due to the kind efforts of Dean Shirley Baker, the Blue Book was acquired by Olin Library, and due to the generous assistance of my colleagues Carl Phillips and Mary Jo Bang, it was later published in The New Yorker. So I'm going to read with Sarah now a brief excerpt from the play Mi Vasha, and I'll immediately follow it with reading the Blue Song. So remember, this is Lady Shantine. I am the physician who has been called by Vasha to appear at his residence. Please, and we're going to abide with the tradition that we have of stage reading, where we will, generally speaking, read out front, even when we're talking to one another. Please, Lady Shantine, sit down and let me ask you a few questions. I'd like to help you.
Me? Not me, but you, Vasha. You are the one that needs help. You have lost your mind. It's true, Doctor. The men come for him at night and he doesn't even see them or hear them.
These delusions of fear that you have about your husband, Lady Shantine.
I have no delusions. My mind is perfectly clear.
Tell me about the men you see in your bedroom at night.
Yes. Many men. Soldiers. They come trooping into the room and they stand in a circle around the bed. They speak to him in low voices, say terrible things. I can't stand it much longer.
Yes, hallucinations, visual and auditory.
No, Doctor, not hallucinations, but real men. Only all of them are dead.
Death is our chief preoccupation these days. A man like you, Sir Vasha, a man with iron nerves, can't realize what it is to be obsessed with the fear of death, as so many of us are these days. Excuse me, Lady Shantine, you were telling me about the men that come into your bedroom at night.
They come into the room and stand around the bed and ask for him. They want him to go with them back to where they came from. They say it's time for him to go with them. He sent them there. He's their leader, they say. And they want him to go back there with them.
Back where, Lady Shantine?
To the front. The places where they were killed, but he won't go. He's afraid to go, Doctor. But I know that he ought to go. He belongs with them. And someday they'll insist on his going. They won't take no for an answer. And then he'll have to go with them.
These men, Lady Shantine, do you recognize any of their faces?
Some of them. Yes, some of them. My two brothers. One of them was only 17. A dear boy with soft blue eyes. I can't see them anymore. He keeps them closed when he comes into my room at night. I think he doesn't want to see me in bed with this man. And then there is my father, and many others I danced with when I was a very young girl. And there is one other, a young man who was very nice to me last winter when I was feeling so badly. He has a quiet, pleasant voice that makes me feel calm inside. But there was something wrong with his legs. One of them shorter than the other, and for that reason, he wasn't enlisted. I was glad of that, because he didn't seem made for the war. He hated all of it so. He read some of his poems, which I liked very much. But some kind of mistake occurred, and in spite of his affliction, Doctor, he has been drafted into the army and sent to the front. And later I learned that he had been blown into little pieces. His name was David. And now at night, he comes into my bedroom, and he doesn't look at me. He looks at my husband, and he says, Vasha Shantine, it is time for you to go back with me to the front.
Yes, I think I see. That's the end. That's the end of the excerpt. And this is the poem that Tennessee Williams scribbled at the back of his Greek exam as he sat knowing that he was about to fail the exam and fail out of Washington University. I think it's something that most students can at least relate to at some level. Blue song. I am tired. I am tired of speech and of action. If you should meet me upon the street, do not question me, for I can tell you only my name and the name of the town I was born in. but that is enough. It does not matter anymore whether tomorrow arrives. If there is only this night, and after it is morning, it will not matter now. I am tired. I am tired of speech and of action. In the heart of me, you will find a tiny handful of dust. Take it and blow it out upon the wind. Let the wind have it, and it will find its way home. Thank you.